What's up, anybody tuning in? This is Chris from Long Island Wargaming, and I am going to be doing a live rundown of some of the Brawler Bash rules coming up. That's the tournament that Nick, myself, Anthony from the Sustainable Center, Once Bitten, Malorian, a bunch of other YouTubers will be at coming up at the end of May. So I was going to go through and finalize my Orcs and Goblins list for that tournament, as well as the go through some of the Brawler Bash rules and tell you guys what I'm thinking and go through some stuff. Just double checking some audio as we're sitting here live. I feel like there's probably nobody watching right now anyway, so there'll be a VOD. So let me go through and I'll start a share screen as I double check a lot of this stuff. Let's do this. Okay. Okay, cool. All right. So we are on the screen share of the Brawler's Bash rules. Some of the stuff we need to look at up here that I kind of scroll by are armies will be up to 3,000 points. So yes, I am building a 3,000 point list. Armies must be 75% painted to a 3-color minimum. 75% painted is interesting. I guess since that's a 3,000 point. I guess that's a reason I guess they had problems in the past with maybe I don't necessarily know attendance or whatnot, but most people play 2,500 point tournaments. So since it's a 3,000 point tournament, maybe you'll see that last 500 be what's not painted, like an Ragnarok or like the second like Steam Tank and things like that. I guess that's why that's there, because most people don't have 2 painted Steam Tanks or whatnot. So yeah. So normal restrictions, here are some of the special characters that can't be used. Epidemius, the Fate Weaver, and Alariel. Yeah, I don't like Alariel. I played her in the first Crossroads GT I went to, and it was not fun. So first round. Gaming scores! Okay, so the Brawler Bash system is not the Timid Tussle or the Scaredy Cat Shakedown. As such, Brawler Bash uses the Carnage scoring system. Carnage scoring system is basically a 1-for-1 for the victory points you score with the maximum of 5,000 points per round. So their example here is you win your game and score 2187 victory points from your opponent, while he only scores 1150. You have a total of 2187 for that round, while your opponent walks away with 1150. Okay, it's just that flat out. What you get is what you get, essentially. So it is very much so based on some carnage. So like some of these like more list denial based, denial based lists that we could see sometimes will have a more difficult time at Brawler Bash. Maybe some lists such as Skaven, which is why I believe Nick has altered his list a little bit so that it's available for a little bit more killiness, because a lot of his older lists were, well, you can't kill me and I'm just going to whittle away victory points at you. Well, that doesn't really net you enough points to make headway in this tournament, just because it's raw. It looks like just battle power, which I love because this is that plays to my strengths a little bit. So I know we'll see. Then some easy stuff for like turning your results in on time each round. You will receive an additional 100 victory points. That's a little crazy. I don't really know how many people are that late. It seems like an ample amount of time to play your game. So I think it's 3 hours or something like that, which is plenty of time to play a game this long. Scenarios, right? Victory points are worked out of the yep. Units are 25 that are 25 models or less of their original models yields 50% at 25% or less. So that's cool. That are fleeing at the end of the battle, 50% victory points. That have half or less wounds remaining. Characters are 50% victory points. Cool. Ridden monsters give up separate victory points. If you kill the monster, you score monster victory points, but not the rider, and vice versa. Yeah. In both cases, these are most of the things I know already, but I haven't actually read them on paper. Nick and I have just talked about them, so I'm just reading through for verbiages. Bonuses for general banners are not counted toward the 50% units that are both fleeing, and a below half strength. Okay. In addition to these points, the widely popular scenario cards will be used again in this Brawler's Bash. Now, scenario cards are interesting, and I'm assuming it's going to get into it on this page. Terrain placement is fixed for this tournament. Yada yada. Random terrain will not be used. Unique Unique score scenarios. Game 1 is a battle line. Gain 400 victory points if your opponent does not have a unit containing fortitude in your deployment zone at the end of the game, and gain 400 additional victory points if you have a unit containing fortitude alive in your opponent's deployment zone at the end of the game. Cool, right? Awesome. Easy stuff. Go smash your opponent, don't get smashed, essentially. Gain 300 victory points if you kill more characters than your opponent. Cool. Go smash. Don't get smashed, right? This 300 victory points thing for characters, if you kill more characters than your opponent, is kind of interesting because if you play a list with the characters that aren't necessarily on the front line, you're more prone to getting this in the first place. Or if you play with a lot of characters in the front, the odds are you could kill more characters. So that's kind of like a weird decision to make about your placement. So I think some of the lists that just have heroes that go in specific places where it's kind of obvious where they're going to go will be at a little bit of a disadvantage here. Not that that's a big deal, though, because in the end, the 300 victory points isn't worth smashing your opponent. Smashing your opponent comes first and foremost, and everything else comes second. So game 2 is Blood and Glory. Play full 6 turns. Objectives: first player to break their opponent receives an additional 1,000. So it's always the full 6 turns or until you table. First player to break their opponent receives an additional 1,000, and then the second player gets 500. So there is points to get even if you get broken here, which is interesting because you could break your opponent first, feasibly, get 1,000 points, and then get counter-tabled. Right? I mean, that is possible. If a unit of Savage Orcs takes 4 runes and flees, turns around, they lose their banner, so I lose a fortitude, but they turn around and crush everything. Technically, I get 500 points, but I could win the battle, which is kind of cool. So as we're doing this real quick, I am just going to stop and get some audio. I also think I have this set to the wrong screen. Turn that down. We're going to get this back over here so you can all see that. Okay. Share this. Start screen share. Full City Wargaming. Start screen share. Cool. All right. I'm going to go check the YouTube video right now. Let me go check, see where we're broadcasting out here. Fresh. Cool. Back. Sorry, some things got a little crazy. Cool. All right, we're still going. Okay, so let us do some screen shareage. Cool. Some of the viewers here, can you give me some some ideas about the sound and whatnot. Just some comments. Sound okay? Everything's going. It sounds like everything's okay on my end. I'm watching the video just to double check right now as we're talking. On screen share here. Sorry guys, Nick usually does the Hangouts, so I'm trying to figure it all out as we are going. I went through some of the Brawler's Bash stuff. I'm going through the rest of it right now. If there are people watching, which I do see, just let me know how the audio is. Sometimes this mic does get a little wonky when it's too close to my face, and plus I have the window open and there's like motorcycles and stuff, so it could be incredibly loud, and I'm not sure. Going through. Let's get some of this stuff rolling. Sorry, guys. Okay, guys, I'm going to bring down this podcast for a second. I'll be right back up. I am having some issues with audio, so I will be right back.